Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And happy Memorial Day.
Yes.
We're going to say it again. We've got 3 videos today, all of which are dealing with the comic book industry.
Yay.
That doesn't happen very often. Usually there's not a lot of news about comics, but there actually has been a lot of chatter about comics
Not
lately.
in a good way.
Not in a good way, no. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Boom Studios and this Disney royalty debacle and how Boom Studios is actually related to Disney. They got dragged into this fight, of course, talking about how some authors working on Star Wars books in particular, like Alan Dean Foster, were not getting royalty payments. Well, Boom Studios, comic publisher Boom Studios, got dragged into this fight. We're going to talk about how they are associated with Disney and what they plan to do about their involvement, I guess, in not paying people. They're trying to basically throw Disney under the bus, which is very funny. It is. We're going to talk about that. Before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 192,000.
I woohooed too soon. Woohoo! Sorry.
Premature woohoo.
It all. I hate when that happens. Premature woohoo.
Yeah, I know. You want to drag that woohoo out as long as you possibly can.
I'm just like, let's get into it. Woohoo! Let's go. Move.
All right. So before we talk about where we're at right now with Boom Studios, we gotta walk it back a little bit. Disney must pay. The Disney must pay hashtag. There were a lot of authors that worked on Disney-owned properties, books, predominantly Star Wars, as I understand it.
I think there's some people that came in just to join the task force, whether they worked for them. They might not be the ones that were not getting paid. They just were coming in to try to negotiate, mediate, step in, like Neil Gaiman, for example.
Yeah. So what supposedly happened here was that, and this is coming from Alan Dean Foster himself and Science Fiction Writers Association or whatever it's called. He has not gotten any royalty checks from Disney since Disney bought Lucasfilm, and this does seem to be happening in other Disney-owned publishers too, that Disney's like, oopsie doopsie, we don't know what happened, we just stopped sending you checks years ago. Don't know what happened. So this has escalated. A lot of mainstream media outlets have picked up on it, and of course this is the only time Disney actually acts, is when they have media pressure put on them.
Right, they hate bad PR.
They hate it. That's like holy water to Disney, right?
I like that better than kryptonite.
Yeah,
holy
it is.
water
like,
sounds
oh
better.
My God, I'm melting, I gotta pay you. Yeah, so that was kind of blow number one. Boom Studios got dragged into this, which was really interesting because Fox News brought up that Boom Studios is one of the Disney subsidiaries that supposedly owed people money. I'm like, what the hell does Boom Studios have to do with it? Now, they did publish some Fox-owned properties back in the day.
Okay.
Disney apparently owns part of Boom Studio, which I did not know until recently. I knew they published licensed books, but it goes back to their deal they had with Fox. Fox had a first look deal with Boom Studios for their properties, which explains, Mouse Guard and Lumberjanes and all those other movies that Disney canceled right away. But what happened was Fox actually bought into Boom Studios. So when Disney bought Fox, they also bought part of Boom Studios.
I love how they'll recognize that. They'll want to, I own part of Boom Studios, but they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have to honor my obligations to people that had deals, but I get to say I own something.
Yeah, so as I understand it, they don't have any say in the day-to-day operations of the company. But apparently Disney was supposed to, make sure people got paid, and they haven't been making sure they got paid. So now Boom Studios comes out. Now that they got name checked and all this stuff, they came out and said that they're going to make sure people get paid. They're trying to, make some phone calls or whatever because they didn't realize that Disney wasn't paying people. So this is coming from Gizmodo. Gizmodo, apparently this is where this originated from. They said that in the press release issued overnight, the Disney Must Pay Task Force announced that it began working with comic book publisher Boom to begin paying accurate royalties to creatives. Boom's many independent titles, including Mouse Guard and Lumberjanes, etc. The company also publishes a lot of licensed comic books. For the purpose of the Disney fight, the company is associated with the House of Mouse thanks to its reboot of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer comics line. No, they also own part of it. They own part of it, which again, I was surprised to learn.
We went and dug and found out. So.
Yeah, they do. Boom Studios strongly supports all creators receiving any reporting and royalty payments that they are contractually owed. When we have obligations, we honor them, said Philip Sablik, Boom's president of publishing and marketing, said in a statement provided via press release. We're happy to work with both the Disney Task Force and our licensor Disney to resolve the situation to everyone's satisfaction. The press release further adds that the task force believes that Boom Studios were not believes that Boom Studios were not told about the writers who were due royalties when Disney transferred.
Of course, they said that because it's their press release.
Yeah, they're basically like, well, it's not our fault. It's Disney's fault. We'll look into it. Not our fault. And it probably came out because of, well, this, maybe, because they got name checked in an article. So they talked about how they produced the Buffy comic or that was Dark Horse. They said after the acquisition, Fox terminated the deal with Dark Horse and gave the license for Buffy to Boom Studios, which rebooted the franchise. Then they talk about Alan Dean Foster, et cetera, et cetera. But we get down here. Boom Studios are not at fault here, and the Disney Must Pay Joint Task Force is grateful that they have taken the lead with their cooperation. Mary Robinette Cowell, I believe, president of the SFWA, added in a provided press release, with their help, we're able to speed up the process of locating writers who might have been affected by the rights transfer by Disney.
Seems awfully odd that all this stuff happens when there's a rights transfer to Disney.
Yep, I wish Disney itself was also willing to work with us.
Color me surprised, because they didn't work with the Predator people either, or any of that stuff. They just tell like they don't answer you, and then you're supposed to just go away because they're Disney and they said so.
If you want to get paid by basically you have to fight them in court. I think in a lot of these cases, and Disney, their tactic, and we've heard it from multiple people who've gone up against Disney or know people who have gone up against Disney, is to run you out of money because they have more money than you do. Mm-hmm. So
they did.
I don't know if it's still the case now, but the only reason that they're getting anywhere with this right now, frankly, is because Disney doesn't want the bad press.
Yeah, well, here's bad press, Disney. Sorry, don't do better and won't have a problem.
I just think it's funny that Boom is throwing them right under the wheels of the bus. Now, it's interesting because Boom, well, one, they just had a couple of massively successful Kickstarters. They had Berserker, and they got a Netflix deal with that. And they have so their deal with Fox was they had a first look deal that Fox basically could, make movies or TV shows out of any Boom Studios owned comic. And now they're working with Netflix, a Disney competitor. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't, because there's been some shuffling at the top just a couple days ago. About the same time this came out, Ross Ritchie is moving to chairman of the board at Boom Studios. So I gotta wonder if they're not restructuring, if they're not going to get in a little bit cozier with Netflix now, because it seems like all their stuff is going to Netflix, and they don't really give a shit what Disney thinks. I don't know. There's something going on.
So they must. Well, then that must not be the Fox thing with the first look must not apply to Disney.
No, I don't think it does. I don't think it transfers.
So it's interesting that doesn't transfer.
Yeah. So this is Ross Ritchie moving out of his current role. He says it's difficult for him to shift away from being hands-on in the daily activity of the company. The new role will allow me to concentrate more deeply on trailblazing, which is my greatest passion, i.e. Hollywood deals, I think. Mm-hmm. Boom Studios has tremendous momentum in every facet of our business, which, coupled with my confidence in the strong team I built to manage daily operations, means there's no better time for me to make this transition to create new opportunities. Translation, Hollywood. We built the largest independently owned library of comics properties in America together. Translation, Hollywood.
Yeah,
and the opportunities ahead are thrilling for me. You get to the comments. And once you can no longer do anything for him, he doesn't return your messages. Does this mean that they have to hire someone to detach Sablik's lips from Richie's prostate? Or do they just leave Christie there to do all the work? Yeah, so look, I've never worked with Boom Studios. I'll tell you about my one single interaction with Boom Studios, which was not good, which is with their marketing guy, which is no longer with Boom. I think he's over at Comixology right now. And back in the day, when I worked on Disney Comics, I used to keep track of the sales numbers of Disney Comics. Not unlike what we do here on Clownfish TV, except I was on a Disney message board, and I'm kind of like, as a Disney Comics creator, I'm concerned that the sales numbers are dwindling. Mm-hmm. What is going on here? And I speculated, and I was not being malicious in any way, shape, or form.
Basically what happened with Wabi got blacklisted from our friends. We're like, whoa, the Marvel numbers are bad. What's going on?
Yeah.
Same thing.
The Boom Disney Comics numbers were not good. And I was like, I don't understand why they're doing worse than Gemstone was doing. And a lot of it, I think, came down to the fact that Boom was trying to take the Disney comics in a totally different direction from where Gemstone was. And they had a solid audience of paying customers that wanted traditional Mickey, Donald, Goofy stories, and they were doing all kinds of weird shit at Boom. So, I'd worked for multiple, Disney licensees, and I tried to apply to Boom. And I basically got this thinly veiled threat from their marketing guy, who was like, well, if you want to work for us, you basically better keep your damn mouth shut.
Oh, but it didn't matter because they wanted to hire you for Darkwing Duck, and then he made sure you didn't get to.
Yeah, so I did not
He was first choice, and then that guy made sure that they didn't hire him.
So I did not get to work for Boom Studios in any capacity just because I had concerns about the sales numbers, which, again, were not malicious. I'm just like, well, maybe what they're doing is not working real well for them. Maybe they should go back to doing the more traditional stuff. This is interesting. Yeah, so that's my only experience with Boom. I've heard people have had mixed experiences with them, but apparently now people are chasing them for money and they're blaming Disney. All right, so we're going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.